Welcome back to the final round here on Yahoo Finance. Let's talk a little bit more about Amazon's results. Stock popping here after hours, up just around 5%. Now, the company reporting a strong quarter, revenue rising 40% to $88.9 billion. And a big reason for this was more customers relying heavily on the company here during the coronavirus pandemic. For more on these results, we want to bring in Tuna Amobi. He's an analyst at CFRA. And Tuna, getting to this report, I know you had a buy rating on the stock, $3,500 price target. What do you think of these results that we're getting today?
I think they were phenomenal results. I was kind of, parsing, and I was very hard pressed to find any metric that was not significantly ahead of expectations, going from the top line sales all the way down to the operating income number, which really blew out all expectations, despite the $4 billion spending in COVID. And a few other things that struck me. I was looking through the segments. And I've covered Amazon for a very long time. I don't remember any quarter, the last quarter, where they had positive operating margin in the North America and international segment, especially international, where they've been heavily investing. But more importantly, in Amazon Web Services, 600, almost 600 basis points of margin expansion. And while there's evidence that AWS has faced intensifying competition from the likes of Microsoft, Azure, and Google Cloud, I think the margin expansion story remains intact with the huge expansion that we saw. But as I also was looking at some of the other things, our thesis hinges on Amazon's transition into higher margin revenues. So third-party sellers growing almost north of 50%. Those are gangbuster numbers. Now they have almost 60% of third-party sellers on their platform. And remember that those are high margin, revenue streams. And then you've got other revenue, which importantly includes advertising, going up more than 40%, 41%, I think, this quarter. So, all of those tailwinds that kind of support Amazon's emergence as a powerhouse, as an e-commerce powerhouse that's benefiting from this COVID-19, the stay-at-home. AWS making sure to point out that they are right in the mix of this remote telecommuting with customers like Zoom, World Health Organization, and all of these things are really coming together to support Amazon as a really top player in this stay-at-home dynamic.
Hey, Tuna, Rick Newman here. Some investors seem a little bit concerned about that cloud number, AWS. If revenue growth there fell below 30% for the first time, and they did not meet expectations, echoing what Microsoft's reported just a few days back. If this were not such an extraordinary report due to COVID and home delivery acceleration and so forth, that might be more of a concern. But you don't think that's something to worry about?
Well, that's what I alluded to, right? 29%, sure, it's significantly less than what we saw Microsoft Azure report. But even then, Microsoft Azure lost a step or two. But I think the real story with AWS is actually the ability to kind of support their margins with all these new services that they've been layering on top, whether it's AI or machine learning. All of those things are kind of cutting edge things that are making them much more compelling. And I might also add that I think the benefit of AWS during this pandemic, I think is really understated. And that has become even more and more apparent to us as we talk about 31% in operating margin this quarter, more than 31%, almost 600 basis points of margin expansion on a quarter-to-quarter basis, year to year. I think that's something that I think should really provide some comfort level in terms of the questions, the ability to, have a sustainable and profitable business.
Hey, we got to go in a second, so just real quick. The better these companies do, isn't Washington going to want to come out for them even more? I mean, it's crazy. They beat by $8 billion on revenue. They have no competition, right?
Well, we were kind of, watching the tea leaves as well in yesterday's hearings. I think for AWS, I would argue that they're actually one of the least exposed in all this antitrust hearing. That being said, I don't think a breakup AWS would be the worst thing in the world. And as you see investors reacting now, I think AWS, if it were to be spun off or broken off, now almost a $50 billion run rate business, I would argue that would actually be a value unlocking event for investors.
All right, Tuna Amobi, CFRA, always great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for sticking around and for giving us your perspective on Amazon today. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.